Hello, it's Mike. It's February 8th, 2009. Hello to all my new subscribers. Thank you very much. And I'm getting rid of the big long intro. For people that watch a number of these back to back, that can get really tiresome apparently. So that's going. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, so this weekend's been a lot of fun, hasn't it? I've certainly enjoyed myself chasing down some of this Reinhardt stuff. It's been very interesting, I must say. And some of the comments, I really appreciate the comments, and it certainly was not my intention for that video to go viral. It was just more of a, here's what's going on, here's some of the stuff that he's highlighting, and new stuff, new information to me, and I thought I would share that with people. Now, of course, some of my facts may be completely wrong, as may his, who knows. I guess we will find out on Monday, or potentially Friday. And if the worst does come to the worst, I certainly hope everyone's got plans and is prepared. Anyway, okay, so some of the news stories I've been following the last couple of days. Well, the first one here is from the Friday Financial Times. Faith initiatives support to be expanded. This is, of course, President Obama basically saying he's going to give some money, or make sure that money is going to faith-based initiatives. So there you are, Reinhardt. Now, the interesting thing about this article was the picture right beside it, which is Barack Obama and Tony Blair. Now, Tony Blair was speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast on Friday? No, I guess on Thursday. And, of course, Tony Blair recently became a Catholic. Or rather announced that he was Catholic. The interesting thing about that, of course, is that Tony Blair was the first European politician to actually meet Barack Obama. And Tony Blair is no longer the British Prime Minister. Gordon Brown is. Tony Blair is the peace envoy to the Middle East. Companies still not owning up to corruption. Of course, all the articles, as always, are linked in my info box. This was a study done by Deloitte over here in the United Kingdom. And effectively they found that 41% of executives would not voluntarily disclose a significant incident of corruption to any anti-bribery agency, such as the Serious Fraud Office. Now, basically, they don't have to. They don't have to go and tell this stuff. I mean, they'll do internal investigations and all this stuff, and hopefully the auditing firms out there will tell them to stop doing this stuff. But, of course, can we really trust these auditing companies? In Britain, a company is not obliged to approach the Serious Fraud Office unless it suspects an act of corruption, also involves money laundering, or has links to terrorism, which I found to be quite a remarkable statement in the middle of all that. Now, one of the other things that's going over here in the UK, there's a lot of talk about building up this £400 billion toxic loan scheme. And essentially the idea is that the United Kingdom government will purchase assets that are considered less than reliable from the banks, or actually what they'll do is insure them from default. I don't know which is worse, whether they buy it or insure it, or who knows. Bad banks are an interesting new concept. Now, Barclays has been having a lot of grief recently. People have been wondering what's actually happening within Barclays itself, how's their capitalization doing, etc. They're going to kick off the reporting season of the British banks next week. Barclays will be reporting on Monday their results, etc. And eventually, I guess you can go look up their balance sheets on their websites. But in the meantime, yes, one of the comments here. There is grudging acceptance that Barclays is not in such dire straits as RBS and Lloyds Group. However, RBS and Lloyds have got received much more money from the British government than Barclays did. So there's still question marks about that. The upside, quote, the upside if management's assurance are entirely borne out by fact, are considerable. But if contrary to Barclays' very specific assurances, it is forced to seek fresh capital before the 1st of July, the dilution of other investors would be immense, with significant downside risk to even the current price. Now, what's he talking about? There's a special clause. You may recall that Barclays went off to Middle East, I can't remember the country, Dubai I believe, and got some investment from Middle Eastern investors. Well, part of the clause of that was if the share price diluted too much in a certain ratio, these new shareholders would get a bigger stake within Barclays. So essentially, if Barclays goes looking for more money, they will have to give up more of themselves to the Saudis. Okay, now what else has been happening? Now, one of the other things I've been talking about recently is this concept of hiding the fact we're actually in a depression. Now, I must apologize to my viewers. My numbers on Friday were wrong. Yes, I got one of the numbers wrong. I don't know. Somebody pointed out to me that's why the video's down now. I may correct the video, or we may just leave it hidden because it's just a lie, and so I do not like lies. After review of the numbers and recalculating many times, my eventual figure is a decline in the gross domestic product in the United States for the fourth quarter was 9.83%. The reason for this, of course, is that they included part of the bailout money as part of the calculation for the gross domestic product of the United States. The money doesn't exist. How can it be part of the... Anyway. I digress. I won't rant. Right. The IMF, International Monetary Fund. Headline. IMF says advanced economies already in depression. Now, basically, the point of this story, Dominique Strauss-Kahn also said, things like the ECB holding their bank rate at 2% is probably not a good thing. It could be lower. The Bank of England lowering their rate to 1%, that's a really good thing, etc., etc. And then further on down in this article, after a whole bunch of blah, 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 blahs, we get to this little statement. It is not impossible that in the future they may be under pressure to seek funding from the IMF. The IMF's needs may double, and it may need more funds within 6 to 8 months. Basically, the International Monetary Fund is starting to run out of money, bailing out countries all over the world. So, what's that going to do to the rest of us, little peons out here? One must wonder. Now, of course, one of the big criticisms of the United Kingdom, and I wholeheartedly agree, is that the UK is basically becoming a big brother state. We've got cameras everywhere, and they track you everywhere, and yep, we know. There are ways of subverting some of it, but not all of it. And indeed, we have, just as in the States, brand new passports within the United Kingdom include an RFID chip. Fortunately, I have an older passport. Mine's not due for renewal for another 2 years, so I'm fairly okay with that. And yes, there are calls within the United States and Canada for RFID within driver's licenses, etc., etc. But of course, it's already in your passport. But there is, of course, something you should know about this RFID. It can only be read from a certain distance. Yes, indeed, they are not terribly secure. They can be hacked fairly easily. But you do need to get within, I think, a foot to a meter of it to actually read the chips inside the passports and inside these driver's licenses. They're not powerful enough. They don't have enough surface area to receive enough power to actually transmit. However, I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure they're working on the technology. Anyway, so, latest story. Government compiles travel records database. Okay, so the government is compiling a database, keeping track of everybody coming in and going out of the United Kingdom. They're setting this up, and the Intelligence Center will store names, addresses, telephone numbers, seat reservations, travel itineraries, credit card details for all 250 million journeys in and out of the UK every year, and hold that data for 10 years. You thought the TSA in the States were bad. Linked on the side. Quickly now, there's been a war of words recently between Russia and the United States. 2 articles linked. Russia rattles sabres in Obama's direction. Basically, they're opening up new naval and air bases, particularly within the area of the Black Sea around Georgia. And if you understand about what they're hoping to do with regards to gas pipelines, etc., you may understand the point of that. There's all kinds of other things they're talking about, and I'll let you read the article. The other one is Biden proposes to, now get this, quote, press the reset button with Moscow. This came out yesterday evening. It's in today's paper. Joe Biden, U.S. Vice President, on Saturday set a new tone in Washington's relations with Russia and Iran, declaring that the new U.S. administration wants to press the reset button in its dealings with Moscow. Now, they're not talking about nuking them. They're talking about trying to set up new communication channels with them. But I believe the undertone is, we'll just press the red button. Finally, Australia. There's a huge set of fires going on right now in the state of Victoria, which is the area around Melbourne in the south of Australia. I've linked 2 stories. Anyway, I'm running out of time. So, take it easy, folks. Peace, love, understanding. Think about things. Think about the world. And I really hope we're going to see the end of next week. Okay.